Hi everyone, welcome to JUENFO Kitchen where we just enjoy food. So let's enjoy this yummy peppered steak. We're gonna start off by washing our steak. Here I have 2 pounds of beef stir fry. You can buy a whole piece of beef and cut that up if you want, but I find this to be more convenient. Plus the price wasn't bad, so I just picked this up to use for the recipe. And I will be using some vinegar to wash it. Our beef is now nice and clean. And I'm trying to get this as dry as I can because I want it to get a nice sear when we add it to our pot. Even though it's gonna spring a lot of its own juices. So some of these strips are pretty long, so I'm gonna cut them before I start to season. Also, these strips are pretty thin, so if you're gonna buy a whole piece of meat and cut them up, this is basically the size that we're working with. Now to season, I'm going to add some dried parsley, all-purpose seasoning, onion powder, black pepper, and salt. I don't have any garlic powder, but I'm going to add some fresh garlic later on, so that will compensate for that. You can use whatever seasonings you like. I'm basically using whatever I have available in my pantry. And I'm using mainly dried seasonings because, again, I want it to be able to sear nicely when we add it to our pot. I'm also adding about a teaspoon of freshly grated ginger and a little bit of dark soy sauce for color and extra flavor. If you have browning, you could also substitute that for the soy sauce. Now I'm going to give this a good mix. And it smells so good already, guys. And I'm going to allow this to marinate. I'd say give it at least an hour if you have the time. While the beef is marinating, I'm going to put together a quick little sauce. Everything is going to come together quickly because of how thinly the beef is sliced, so I need to have everything prepped and ready to go. So here I have 3/4 of a cup of water. You could also use some beef stock for extra flavor. Beef or chicken stock, anyone would work. To this I'm going to add about a tablespoon of flour. I prefer to use the flour as opposed to the cornstarch as a thickener because in my opinion I think it gives the gravy a little bit more body as well as thickness. I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato ketchup. Two teaspoons of honey, and a little bit more of that dark soy sauce, maybe about a half a teaspoon or so. Make sure to give that a good mix so that the flour dissolves properly. And I'm going to set this to the side until I'm ready to use. Here I have some fresh thyme, a few cloves of garlic, and I'm going to be adding a Scotch bonnet pepper as well. Completely optional. If you don't like spice in your food, you can leave that out or reduce the amount. I'm also going to be adding a small onion, and I'm doing a green and red sweet pepper. You can add any variety you want or just use one color. So note that I'm cutting my vegetables small, but not too small, because I want them to have some amount of structure after my peppered steak is done cooking. To my skillet here, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. Of course, any oil you have on hand will do. I'm going to keep the flame on medium high because I want the oil to be well hot, so as soon as the meat hits the pan, it starts to sear. As you can see now, the pan is well hot. So in goes my beef. And I'm gonna let that continue to sear on one side for at least a minute before I start to turn it. And already you can see that it has sprung so much of its own juices. So after 2-3 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add my thyme, garlic, and Scotch bonnet pepper. And this smells so good, guys. I really do hope you get a chance to try this recipe. I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of my green seasoning. If you want the recipe for the green seasoning, I have 2 videos. I'll go ahead and link them for you above as well as in the description. So I'm going to turn my flame down a bit to medium and continue stirring. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my onions and sweet peppers. I'm going to stir this for about a minute. This is optional, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and add a splash of this red label wine for some good depth of flavor. If you don't have red label wine, you can use any red wine. Just use one that's more on the sweeter side. And immediately after the wine, I'm going to pour in my sauce that I made earlier. So I'm going to turn my flame down and let this simmer for another 3 minutes. Remember now, because of how thinly our beef was sliced, we need no more than about 10 minutes for this to cook. You definitely don't want to overcook this. You don't want your steak to be rubbery. You want a tender and juicy, flavorful peppered steak. So the 3 minutes is just for the flour to be cooked out so you don't get that raw flour taste. So our peppered steak is now done, guys. Just look at how nice and rich this sauce is. This took no more than 10 minutes to come together. So quick, so easy, so flavorful. It's perfect for a weeknight dinner or any one of those 30-minute meals. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. It helps out the videos to trend, which in turn helps the channel as we are still on the journey to our first 1,000 subscribers. Let's stay connected. All my social media links are in the description along with the recipe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, live life to the fullest and just enjoy food.